I'm going to show you how I like to get my wool fleece ready for spinning into yarn. And I'm going to be using a hand carder and later on my drum carder. And there are so many different ways of preparing fleece for spinning, and this is just one that I really enjoy. So I'm going to be working with fleece that I've scoured and dyed with onion skins, both in previous videos, which I'll link for you. And with the hand carder, you can also use a pet brush. These are just available in pet shops. I used this one for years and years. I still use it. The tines, the little teeth on it, aren't quite as strong as on a hand carder. So on here we have lost quite a few of them. So I'm going to be using the hand carder, but in a pinch, the pet brush works really, really well. Now I have an old tablecloth on my lap just because this can be a little bit dusty. So I've got my pile of fleece here. And you can see here that this is just a bit matted together. This is where it has been dyed at quite a hot temperature for the onion skin dye. And what I want to do is separate out these beautiful locks. This is a Shetland Teeswater fleece. And so it's got some really nice crimp to it. And just where it's sort of matted together, just separating it out, trying not to tear the fibres, but just separating them from each other. And here you can probably see we've got these tips on the fleece, and these tend to be weaker than the rest of the fleece. And that means that they will break off while we're spinning and create little neps, which are lumpy bits that can create a nice tweedy texture in some contexts, but that's not what I'm after here. So what I'm going to be doing once I've separated these out is just removing the weak points of those tips, and I'm trying to keep all of my little locks nice and parallel. So now I've got my little pile of locks ready, I can start grabbing just a couple. I don't want to do too many at once because then they just end up snagging and it's difficult to work with, and it seems like it should save time, but it actually doesn't. And I'm very gently just going to tease them over the very edge teeth of the hand carder. And I'm just using this to separate out as if I'm combing hair. And then once I've got that side separated, I just turn it round. I grab the ends that I've already brushed and then do the same here. And I'm not dragging the fleece through the carder. I'm being very, very gentle. And this just helps to align the staples, the individual fibres, and take out any short or broken bits. And then the bits that are left on the carder, they don't get thrown away. I keep them in a pile. So I have two separate piles here. One is the short bits that I've taken off. So you can see here there are lots of broken tips. These are all short bits. This is still nice, soft fibre that I will keep for another project. But for this project, I've got my nice big pile of, these have been in a little bag for a while, but beautifully smooth fibres, all aligned, that have had all the short bits removed. And these are what I'm going to be working with for this yarn. This is my drum carder, and I'm going to be using this for the rest of the fleece processing, getting it ready for spinning. Now usually you would use a drum carder for more of a woolen spun preparation. You would feed the fleece in on this front tray here, and that would be fed under this small drum and then up through between these two drums. But with what I've been doing, getting these fibres all nice and parallel and removing the short fibres, I'm going for something that's a bit more like a worsted preparation, going for longer fibres and a smoother yarn. Traditionally you would do that on wool combs, but I don't have wool combs, and the drum carder produces a format that I really, really like. I enjoy having a wider fibre preparation. So I tend to hold my fleece parallel with all of the locks facing, like I haven't kept the tips and the butts of the fibre all in the same direction, but at least the fibres are all parallel. And so I'm going to take a small amount at a time and feed them onto the top of the big drum. And I'm just going to keep going, building up layers of fleece, basically until I can't fit any more on here. Now, that's about all I can reasonably fit on here. And so I'm going to get this picker and run it along there. And that lifts the fibre off without breaking it. You can just run it between the teeth to loosen any bits of fleece that are getting stuck. And there we go, that's our first bat of this fibre. And now I'm just going to gently roll it up for now. And that will sort of keep it together while I prepare the other bats. And then that we can spin from. We can spin from this end. I'm going to process it a little bit further, just so that we can get it nice and blended. So usually I would leave it like this if I were going to keep it stored. I'm actually going to unroll it and tear it into shreds. And then each piece like this, I will run again through the carder, which will just help. You can see in some places where it's a little bit clumpy, that'll just help to break those up. And if I had a lot more colours going on in here, then it would also be a good way to ensure that the colours were nicely blended, or if I had different fibres, then it helps to blend the fibres together. And there we go, one nice, quite shiny bat. Now that is ready for spinning. You can either spin it from the end like this and just draft it out. That will be suitable for long draw spinning, or you can do as I prefer to do, unroll it, and I like to peel it off in strips so that you keep that parallel alignment of all of the fibres. And so you spin it from this end down along the length of the bat. There are plenty of ways to spin from a bat, and in the next video I shall show you how I am spinning this one.